Welcome back, everyone, to Highways and Hilltops. This week we're going to cover episode 19. It's our 2025 summer road trip. We're labeling it Part 1. It's Oklahoma to Tennessee.
Yeah, so if you've been following along with us on social media or you're just a fan of our podcast, you know that this year we took a big trip to Acadia National Park all the way from Oklahoma. And in true Keith family road trip style, we made several stops along the way because we like to make things fun.
Absolutely. So we run a lot of miles, but we did make a lot of stops.
Yep, that's true. So this first leg, we left Oklahoma and we headed out for our first real destination, which was going to be Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. However, on the way, we did make sure to make a couple of other stops that actually maybe even surprised us, especially the one in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. But we'll get there here in just a minute. First off, before we hit the road this time, we needed to add a little bling to our brand new Brinkley.
Yeah, so we put up on the side our Highways and Hilltops logos, which was really cool.
Yep.
And we'd said previously on some of our podcasts and stuff, hey, honk at us. And so we met a lot of really cool people, a lot of
Yeah,
people honking, and it was fun.
we did. And something I guess I didn't think much about whenever we took off on this trip with the logo is how many people in the campgrounds would actually come up and talk to us because our logo was on the Brinkley.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, we put our logo on our camper, and I never really thought about it before, but I got to looking for everybody else's logos.
Yeah, me too.
And I seen several other influencers that I had not known, and it's just pretty cool. It was just a real kind of a quick connection with people. People wanted to talk about it, and it's kind of fun.
It is fun. I think that also added with just the Brinkley community, and maybe we need to take just a minute to talk about that because being a part of the Brinkley community is actually really fun. And you know what it reminds me of when we owned our Jeep?
Yeah, exactly. Those Brinkley people have either done some major marketing or whatever. They're marketing geniuses, but people are, they really want to know what everybody's in. They kind of want to know what's out there and make good choices. And of course, we've done a lot of talking about the difference. And I think our last podcast, we did a lot of comparison.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, when you pull up in a Brinkley, it seems like everybody wants to see it because it's new.
Yeah,
Right. And so
that's
I
true.
think this mid-size is definitely new. And people are looking for a way to do this in a very high quality rig, and they're looking to save some money because
Yeah.
it is ridiculous. Have you ever noticed how much money you could spend in this RV life?
Oh yeah, I know. We were looking at vans and Airstreams.
Yeah, and so it's just so much money, and then people can have the quality and still, they're interested. They're definitely looking for something out there that they can afford, that's high quality, that it's just better.
Yeah, it's really fun. And I remember when I had my Jeep Wrangler, just becoming a part of that Jeep community, at first you're like, yeah, yeah, whatever. But then I don't know what it is. There's some weird sacred buy-in that you have becoming a part of a community that's so proud of the product that they own and then the way that they interact with one another. And I thought that that was so much fun with the Jeep Wave and the ducking, of the Jeeps and all of that stuff. And honestly, when we sold our Jeep Wrangler, I missed it
Yeah,
because even
that
though
was fun.
even though I went to a Jeep Cherokee, it was still different. It's just different than when you have the Wrangler. And so it was really fun for me to, once we got into this Brinkley family, like the Jeep family, the first time I passed a Brinkley on the road, I was like, there's another one. And then when we got to campsites, I noticed we were just searching them out. Like, are there other Brinkleys here? And then other people were searching us out and like, oh, hey, it's like we have this big family or big community of Brinkley owners. And we even toured Sean and Sharon's Brinkley when we were in College
Yeah.
Park, Maryland.
Yeah, I'm usually not bashful about that, meeting people, right? So, but yeah, even on social media, you'll see people posting where they're at, posting pictures. It's fun, right?
Yeah,
You kind of get an idea of where everybody's heading this summer.
yeah.
So it's really fun, and it's also give us lots of ideas of places we haven't been. That when they share those posts, you see those pictures, we're like, wow, we might need to think about going there. So
I do really love it. And I think that when we were thinking about an Airstream, I think that that's part of the draw to an Airstream is, it's trendy and it's something that's very different from what everybody else has. And that definitely sucked me in thinking, oh, this Airstream is a community. But you don't normally see that, I think, among brands in the fifth wheel part, but
Something
we
kinda new.
definitely
Because
have
there's
it.
so many of them. There's so many different models and so many different it's almost like they've renamed things to the point where nobody can keep track of anything anymore.
Yeah.
So having, Airstream is genius. They have a brand, they stick to it, and it seems like Brinkley's doing that. It's causing this, everybody knows what you're when they see it, they know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Where a lot of times you'll see hundreds of other brands, you have no idea really what it's about or what's inside, but they're pretty sharp. Those Brinkley guys, they're on social media, making nice posts. Like the other day, social media came up and he just extended the warranty for 2 more years, just out of the blue. And I think they gave something like a 3-year warranty now or something like that, especially on certain like the seals and certain things. And it's just brilliant. And it's amazing the people though that come up and talk to us about it, want to see it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so shout out to Brinkley and shout out to those of you who are making this a really great and fun community to be a part of. We really love that. And the cool thing about it is it doesn't even matter what Brinkley model you're in, you're still excited. If it's a tow behind, if it's a fifth wheel, nobody cares. It's just cool that you're part of the fam.
I'll say this. I still love the Airstreams, right? So when I see one, I want to go look at it. There's still a part of me that really loves that trailer and wants it. But these bumper pull Brinkleys, I think you're going to see a big run for their money. With all the advancements and stuff they've done, this market's getting interesting. I'll just say that, and it kind of needs to because we've got to control the prices on some of these things, right? Because people can't afford this if we don't. So I love the competition. I love that each of them are trying to get better. And I think that there's a lot better rigs now than they were, say, 10 years ago when we bought the other one.
Hmm.
And regardless of what brand, they're just getting better. And so that's neat to see because at the end of the day, the consumer's the one that has to foot the bill.
Yep.
And people have better rigs. They're prettier. They're a lot more comfortable. It's just nice to see.
Yeah, it is. All right. So, summer 2025 road trip. We're going to give you some numbers here. Our planned versus actual. So, I'll start out with the planned and then Charlie, you can talk the actual. You want to do that?
Okay.
All right. So, when we planned it, and this was really cool using the RV Life app with the Trip Wizard, I have to say, I really did like the Trip Wizard in the RV Life app. You can plug in all of your stops and then it will give you your stats. So when we took off on the road that day, we were planned to have 16 stops. We were going to be running 4,491 miles. Now, granted, that's RV Life mapping from point A to point B. So from home to the first campground, from the second or the first campground to the second campground, and then so on. It doesn't really count like you're stopping for fuel or running around or those types of things. But campground to campground, we were going to be running around 4,491 miles. And then we were staying 26 nights. So we left on June 3rd, returned on June 29th. And
Yeah, good long trip.
yep. So that was what we had planned.
So we actually made 17 stops, a little more than 5,000 miles. I'm guessing somewhere around 5,400 total,
Yep.
in 26 nights.
Yep.
And so we had a couple of surprises along the way, which a trip this long, you're going to have these surprises. We talked about one of our stops. We just went to try to get in there. We just couldn't get in there.
Yeah.
And I finally just said, hey, I've had enough. Pull the KOA app up, find me another spot. We're getting out of here.
Yep.
And you're going to run into some of those. I mean, this particular spot was hard to get to. And it really wasn't so much the campsite's fault. It's just the way people tend to park and what have you. And it was in the middle of the night. I'd pushed through and drove a little too long. And I just didn't want to mess with it. And you know what was cool about this is we found one of the coolest KOA spots we've ever stayed at.
Yeah, we did for sure. You can hear all about that back in episode 18, the Brinkley review. So we talked a little bit about that, and we'll get back to it when we get to the end of this road trip recap.
Yeah, another thing with it, when it comes to cost on fuel and mileage, that Ram truck got somewhere between 11 and 12 miles per gallon. I think we spent about $1,600 on the trip, and that give or take a little bit because we might have forgot to put one of them in there, but really good. And so when you talk about the weight of the trailer and what that total GVWR is going to be, it matters, right? Because your mileage goes up and down. But I think we said somewhere around 15, 16 miles on the van. And to get 11 and 12 on the truck, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. And that number does include DEF as well. So we did our DEF and diesel calculations plugging them into RV life as we were going down the road.
And one thing on that def, and I've said it before on another podcast, but I'll say it again. When you're buying that in the box in the convenience store is really expensive. I can fill this def up for a little more than $20. Holds about 4 gallons. If you buy that at the pump, it's just so much cheaper, and I think it's fresher. It's just a good idea.
Yeah, and I'll just let you know real quick, in the RV Life app, it wants you to put in the amount that you're paying per gallon for your fuel. And guys, I wasn't I wasn't in tune enough to be looking at the sign every time we pulled over and then go change that value. So here's what I did. I was like, "How much did you spend?" And then they got this much diesel, this much def. I added them together and I just stuck it in the miscellaneous column for that part of the trip. And then if we had to get diesel twice, then I just added it to that value. And that's how I kept track of it. I didn't really track lodging or meal expenses. I could have done that, but I opted to use the miscellaneous box to track our fuel cost because we were interested in tracking that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're going to go. It was such a radical change, or we thought it was going to be a radical change from the van to the truck, and it was. It's a difference, but it wasn't as radical as we thought. And we answered our own question.
Yes.
If it was going to drop to 7 miles a gallon from 15, then you're talking about double the fuel cost. We kind of wanted to know that, but
Yes.
it really wasn't. I'm guessing we probably got 3 or 4 miles a gallon less.
Yep. All right. So we took off on June 3rd from our home in Claremore, Oklahoma, and we were headed to Horseshoe Bend, Arkansas. And so, guys, those of you who have been with us for a while know that when I planned this trip, we were still in a 21-foot van. And originally, we were going to drive from Claremore all the way to Hurricane Mills, Tennessee, which would have been like a 9-hour drive day. But whenever we switched to the Brinkley, after we pulled it a couple of times, we decided we were going to pull back on that a bit and we were going to try to stick to a 5 to 6 hour drive day.
Yeah, so we can still make those. We've made a few of these on this trip, 9-hour travel days. The problem is it doesn't give you a lot of time to play.
That's true.
But it wasn't any harder necessarily or that big a deal. But it was kind of nice to dial them back a little bit. We would show up, we'd have some time in the evening to go do some things. And I think the biggest thing for me is we go on these little hikes or walks, if you will, and loosen up and get over some of the drive, kind of get, too many hours behind the wheel is a little dangerous. And it also stiffens you up a little bit too much. So
Yeah.
I can get pretty stiff if you make me go back to back to back.
Hmm.
But having a 9, then having a couple of 4.5s just kind of makes it better.
Yeah. Also, we were in the truck and we had Scout. So we knew that 5 hours, 6 hours, he's going to start getting a little cranky after that. But he can typically make it a 5 to 6 hour day pretty easy. So we pulled out, headed to Horseshoe Bend, Arkansas, got on the road around 9 o'clock. We had plenty of daylight left by the time we got there. Arkansas is a logging state. So a few times we got stuck behind some log trucks. Not a big deal though. Also, we stopped in one little town about, I don't know, 30 minutes or so from our campsite and ran to the Sonic and got 2 bags of ice. And I'll have to tell you, we're not sponsored by Sonic or Brinkley or KOA, first of all. But that Sonic ice in our Brinkley fridge lasted us until we went on 2 bags of Sonic ice until,
Almost the end, like 4 or
yeah,
5 days or 3 or 4 days or
I
something
can't
like
even
that.
remember where
It
we
was
got
crazy.
ice. Yeah, it was wild. So, just a good little tip there. Sonic ice in your Brinkley fridge works really well.
And it's real easy to break up and stuff. When
Yeah.
you buy it, when you drive it back and it kind of melts a little bit, then it gets cold again. It just, I don't know, it just works really good for whatever that's worth. It's really nice.
Yep, it does. So we got into the Horseshoe Bend Crown Lake KOA holiday. And guys, this little campground was really nice.
Yeah, it was great. And the cool thing is they just had become a KOA holiday.
Yeah, they had.
And they had this stage. They had some golf. We had got there early enough that I got my fishing pole out, walked down to the lake, which this is a beautiful lake. This Horseshoe Bend Lake is fantastic. Walked down there and got to catch a couple of fish.
Hmm.
Kind of have some fun that evening, and we got to cook. And so, really nice camp area. I would highly suggest this one.
Yeah, we really liked it. Um, they have lots of cabins on site. Was the Crown Lake Resort, and like Charlie just mentioned, they recently became a KOA. It helps with their marketing, she said, and Plus, KOA, they help you put some things in. Like they became a KOA holiday, so they've got the safari golf course and the pickleball court, and they already had, like you mentioned, that stage. And she said they have live music from like local bands, like almost every Friday and Saturday night through summertime. So those are some really cool things. They also had an aqua park over on that
Yeah, there
lake.
was two coves. So where we were at in the RV park, there were two coves coming off the lake, and in the middle of that, there was a big peninsula where they had all the cabins. But in those coves, or at least one of those coves, they had that huge aqua park. It was basically like all these inflatables and stuff, and a big swimming area. It was really neat.
Yeah, it's
This
kind
may
of
be
like,
one of the nicest ones we've stayed at in a while.
yeah, I think so. It's kind of like Wipeout, like the Wipeout things.
Most all of the camping spots were pull through,
Mhm.
and there was lots of room. It's just really nice.
Yeah, it was. They also have what they call the sand beach, and they have some chairs out there for their tenants in the cabins and the RV park. So you can go over there and swim at the sand beach, play on the aqua park. So many things for like kids to do or adults to do. They had a really nice walking trail around the property as well. So if you wanted to hike or walk through there, you could do that.
Had rental boats. Remember
Rental,
that? They had
that's right.
at least three or four pontoon boats down there for rent, and some of the nicest people.
Yes, they were
Um,
great.
I just love Oklahoma, Arkansas, and those areas just because people are so friendly.
Yes, we love the Crown Lake KOA. So we highly recommend that one. And it was only 3.5, 4 hours from for us from home. So if you're in that northwest Arkansas area, we highly recommend that. It's a great place.
And easy to get down to. That's another big deal. Sometimes they send you through these residential neighborhoods and all that stuff. Basically, we drove down through there and it turned off like it was a big lake state park, and then next thing you know, we're right there into the deal. So
Yep.
easy to get to.
Oh, and I almost forgot. They also have a big rec room, and we didn't go in there, but there's some things to do in there, like some indoor games. I think she said there were pool tables over there and stuff like that. And right across the road from the RV park, which is where the rec room's at, there's also a pizza place that serves sandwiches and wings and all kinds of things. And it was supposedly really good. We just were only there for one night, so we didn't get to enjoy that.
I would expect, them being newly KOA, what do you want to call it, integrated or whatever.
Mhm.
There's no telling what'll be there next. I noticed some things that were still under construction. Couldn't tell what they were going to be, but this would be a great place to spend a couple weeks in the summer, go out on a beautiful lake.
Yeah. And if you don't have an RV and need a cabin, there's plenty of those. So you can make a good little vacation out of this, and it's not that far from home.
So many of these places we go to, you could jump in a family car, pack your stuff, and stay in a cabin, and no RV needed for a
Hmm.
lot of these places.
Yep, that's true. All right, so that was stop number one. We were really happy with that one. We had never been to Horseshoe Bend, Arkansas. And honestly, if we hadn't have got the Brinkley, we probably still would not have been there because we were going to sail right on to Hurricane Mills, Tennessee, which would be night number two at the Buffalo I-40 KOA journey in Hurricane Mills. Right off of I-40, easy, easy access. A little bit of road noise because you're right by the highway, but you're going to get that in a KOA journey sometimes because they are situated by the highway most generally.
Well, take your pick. You want some highway noise, and you want to exit right off and see your KOA right there, and in the morning you're 2 minutes, you're back on the highway. Take your pick to that, or go down to the one by the lake and you have to drive out a few more minutes. So
Yep,
it kind of goes with the territory. I like this place. While we were there, we got to see that Loretta Lynn Dude Ranch.
we did.
That was really cool. So it's almost like you're going back in time. And so Loretta Lynn had this big, what I would call a mansion, and they bought 3,500 acres down in this little draw. And it had a mill and a creek and a little dam. It had a post office and a church, a Loretta Lynn store. It was just really cool to see. So it's kind of a side deal, and they had an RV park down in there as well. And I believe they even had some motocross tracks and different stuff. And so really neat to see. And I think that right when we first pulled in there were cabins that were made after that time period. And then they also had an actual cabin. I think they might have moved in there from her parents' cabin, right?
I think it was a replica.
A replica.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they rebuilt it.
Yeah, and this little place was free. So we got to drive down to it, see it all. There's all kinds of placards on everything you want to look at. You can read about it. about the little town of Hurricane Mills, and so really neat to see.
Yeah.
Great little place like to stop and eat at your local town there, and then go off and spend a few hours on something like this, and then you're back on the road. These are the kind of distractions we like,
Mhm.
and kind of break up the travel days.
Yeah, this was really great. So, there's a little restaurant. I can't remember what it's called now. I think the Old Mill Restaurant or something, Old Feed Mill, something like that, in Hurricane Mills. You can't miss it if you're going to the KOA. It's right when you get off I-40 onto the main road, then you make almost an immediate right, and that little restaurant sits right there. It was really good. And then we drove that 20 minutes to go see this ranch. I was just looking up, is there anything to do in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee? And it was like Loretta Lynn's Dude Ranch. So we said, oh, yeah, we should go do that. Unfortunately, it was 6 o'clock or so by the time we got there. So all the little stores that were on site were already closed. But we were able to walk around the outside of her tour bus that they have parked out there and read the placards for the old mill and the post office and see her mansion that she lived in for a number of years at the ranch. And it's a beautiful drive back in there, too, in those Tennessee
Yeah,
mountains.
of all the places I wanted to stop and fish, right in front of Loretta Lynn's house was one of them. That dam, and it just looked like one of those creeks you could wade and fish. But anyway,
Oh,
really
yeah.
pretty.
And you had left your fishing pole in the RV.
Well, I don't know, just for our listeners, if you can fish there or not, but I wanted to.
That's true. If you find yourself rolling through Hurricane Mills, Tennessee, this is literally just like a 20-minute drive off of I-40. So, really easy to get to, a great drive through. You can go see the ranch. It's got really cool gates that say Coal Miner's Daughter. And it would have been neat if we would have been there while things were open to get to actually go tour the butcher hauler cabin replica and the mill. The mill looked really neat. But we'll probably find ourselves back down that way sometime in the future, and maybe we'll be able to actually plan a stop there. We just didn't know that this was even there.
Yeah, you definitely go back in time there. You can imagine that this place, when it just had a mill, just had a post office, and how many miles it was from anything, right? So really, really neat to see.
Yep. So that was our time in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. The KOA there in Hurricane Mills, called Buffalo, by the way. The little town is called Buffalo before you get to Hurricane Mills, but um, it has a pool and it does have laundry services and restrooms. The restrooms are nice and clean. I went up there one night just to check them out for you van people because I know how important restrooms are when you're traveling in a van.
And they were very nice. And again, the actual Buffalo KOA is just probably 100 yards off I-40. So
Yeah.
if you didn't want to do anything else, you just wanted to rest and hit the road again, it's a great place to, stop for the night for a rest.
Yep, and that's what we wanted to do. They do have a few cabins, not very many. This isn't a giant KOA. It's a fairly small one. A big playground. There's a pavilion out there that has like some family style picnic tables under it, so you could go out there and hang out and eat and grill and things like that. And it's all gravel.
Just about every place we talk about is gravel.
Yeah.
An actual concrete pad or concrete rails or whatever they have, are pretty rare. I wouldn't call it exactly flat, you know what I mean? But it's
Yep.
it's nice. I had no issue getting in and out of there whatsoever. So
Yeah, it is built into the side of a mountain.
it
So,
is.
when you travel through the mountains like we do, you just get used to unlevel sites
Yeah, yeah.
because we find ourselves there a lot.
Yeah, it goes back to that deal where, we pull up, get out, look at the camper, block it before we unhook, auto level, and then go back to manual, finish it up, and we're good to go. So pretty used to it. And I think most people that travel a lot are used to it. There're just not a lot of really super level concrete pad type places
Yep.
unless you're in a true resort,
Yeah. Or maybe in Florida where it's flat.
or maybe in Florida where it's flat.
Okay. Our drive from Arkansas to Hurricane Mills, man, we got to go through Memphis, Nashville, and Knoxville.
It really wasn't that bad. Pretty drive. I will say that Knoxville, Memphis,
And
sure,
Nashville.
and Nashville for sure. Nashville has its spots. So Memphis has its spots. As soon as you cross the bridge, you got another 10 or 15, 20 minutes. You're going to have to white knuckle it for a while, then you're out of it.
Yeah.
And all these towns seem to be that way. So they're not real bad. Boy, that traffic over Memphis, and then the roads are really rough, and you just have to kind of watch what you're doing. But anytime you get real close to a big town like that, it seems like it brings on a little bit of stress, and then when you get out, you're good again. So
Yep.
having someone on the passenger seat like you that really helps me watching cameras and watching people, because your drivers really all they can do is watch for people. They're trying to not get ran over. But anyway,
It seemed like through Nashville there was quite a bit of road construction on I-40, and the traffic volume was just very, very heavy when we were going through there. I'm not sure why. We were stop and go sometimes, and then again when we got to Knoxville, our
mhm.
Google Maps went to red. Again, RV Life. This is why we need traffic in RV Life.
Yeah, we need traffic and weather
Yeah, weather.
and bridge clearance. If they would just do that,
Yes,
and
we need one app.
Google could take over, or RV Life could take over, whoever wants it. But one app would be nice.
It's a toss up, y'all. So this is all we want, all in one spot. But anyway, we saw that the Google Maps was turning red, and we're like, I give Charlie a heads up. Hey, you're gonna hit a slowdown up here. I don't know what's going on. And then we get up there, and sure enough, we were gridlocked. I think in Knoxville is actually where we were just sitting still on I-40 for a little while. And it might have been a traffic accident, or it could have been merging for construction. I feel like one of them was merging for construction, one of them might have been an accident.
Yeah, and those camera off the back, and then the two mirror cameras on the truck looking down the sides. Oh my gosh, that's such a good deal.
Oh,
Takes a
yeah.
lot of pressure away.
That is truly a game changer.
It is.
And it's funny because when you first buy an RV, you're like, I don't care what's behind me. Yes, you do.
Well, here's another thing for Dodge or Ram, whatever you want to call them. Integrate. Put this on the screen. I don't want things hanging off my windshield. That's another pet peeve of mine because it does have auxiliary camera ports and things like that. If they would go ahead and just get with some RV folks and integrate that where you could see that on that one screen, it would be so nice.
It would be nice. Also, Dodge, if you could make the camera be a little bit smaller and not take over my map, that would be
Yeah.
great. Because I love it when the blinker comes on, the side camera comes on. But also, if we have to merge soon, you just took over my whole map that
Yeah,
was on the
exactly.
screen.
Another thing I've already mentioned it, but I'm going to mention it again in case someone didn't hear it. There's an exhaust brake and then there's an auto exhaust brake.
Yep.
So when you push it the first time, it goes to exhaust brake. When you're pulling your fifth wheel, it's fantastic. It helps slowing you down, all that stuff. But you get into really slow speed stop and go traffic, and you don't want it to to be working so hard. So let's just say you're either in stop and go traffic or you're just driving through town. If you'll look when you push your exhaust brake the first time, it says full exhaust. Push it again, it says auto. The only time that exhaust brake's going to kick in is when you put your foot on the brake versus just letting off the gas. Fantastic. You got two different settings for exhaust brakes to keep you safe. And I run in one of those two all the time because I can't tell you the times that diesel motor kind of pushes through your brakes and it just doesn't feel like you're stopping real well.
Hmm.
I used to complain to Dodge and say, well, why don't y'all put better brakes on the truck? And then finally realized there's a setting there. I don't know if it's been on my previous trucks or not, but it is there now. And I use it all the time now. I love it.
Yeah, and just FYI, we are running in a 2024 Dodge 3/4 ton or 2500 is what they call it, and with a diesel, with a Cummins diesel, and that's what we have this exhaust brake on.
And I
So,
think that secondary, the auto setting helps you with your transmission too.
yeah.
Because you can't always turn the tow haul on when you're just driving in town, unloaded. And so I think it's a good setting. I don't think a lot of people know about it, to be honest with you. I sure didn't. And well, when I discovered it, it was game changer.
We are a huge fan of the exhaust brake, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
We like it. All right, so we stayed one night there at the Buffalo I-40 KOA journey, and it was great. So if you need a stopover place, it is absolutely fantastic. Or if you need a couple of day getaway, they've got things to do around there as well. And then we got up the next morning, so this is going to be day 3 of our trip, and headed on to Pigeon Forge Gatlinburg KOA holiday, where we're going to stay 2 nights while we check out Pigeon Forge and spend a day at Dollywood.
It's funny when I'm looking at this, and this is all about trying to get to Dollywood
It is.
without driving ourselves crazy or just driving, right? So we all remember the vacations when we were little. Our parents would drive for 24 hours to get there. You'd run to the amusement park and they'd drive back.
Yep.
So we're trying to cure that. So Pigeon Forge is fantastic. This whole place is just wonderful.
Yeah, it is a cool, cool city if you haven't been there. So we got there. We had a little hiccup getting set up because there was a truck parked in the RV spot across from us that was right where we needed to be to get back into our spot. But you pulled some kind of magic and
Yeah,
got it in.
it wasn't as bad as it looked, fortunately, or I wouldn't have been able to do it. But yeah, great place. All the folks there. The guy across the street came over and shook my hand. He said, "Oh, I'm so sorry I was in the way." And ended up we talked to these people a lot over the next couple of days. Great bunch of people. I can't remember exactly where they were from.
I
Was it
think Michigan.
Michigan? And yeah, fantastic folks. But yeah, I like this. Really like this RV park. I like it. It's clean.
Hmm.
It was level. They were gravel, but they were level, and just that area. So you had the river coming down, the river walk coming right down by the park. So there
Yep.
was lots to walk and go see. And then we also had a great dinner that night at the Old Mill Restaurant. You remember that?
Oh, we need to tell you about the Old Mill Restaurant. So, it is a historic restaurant in downtown Pigeon Forge, and there was a bridge down there by it that was under construction, but I read like last week that that bridge is now open again. But we drove down there. Here's a funny thing. Afterward, when we went out to take Scout for a walk, we realized that we could have walked to it.
Yeah, actually, we could have left the RV park and walked right to it. You know, this is a great location. It's just minutes from Dollywood.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just probably, gosh, 2 or 3 blocks from this Old Mill
Mhm.
restaurant. And then down there where that Old Mill restaurant was, there's so many things to see.
Yes.
But the Old Mill restaurant was a great place to eat. There's again another river running right beside it. People were out there trout fishing.
Yeah, they were.
The food was fantastic. It reminded you like an old Silver Dollar City town.
Yeah,
It was really neat.
it did feel like
The
that.
food was really good at the Old Mill, I
Yeah,
have
and
to
then
admit.
there was also that village there that had other things like a bakery. We went into that bakery and a distillery where they make their own
And we went into
moonshine.
the distillery,
Yep,
and they had the big copper kettle shine pots or whatever you want to
yep,
call them, and they were making shine right there.
yep.
Really neat.
Yeah, that was cool. And there's a couple of other things in that little village for shopping, I think. We didn't go into those. But when you go down there, it kind of first, you think parking's gonna be really tight, but we just turned down this side road and there's a gravel lot back there that you can just walk right to the Old Mill
Yep,
Restaurant
come off the
from.
main road, you drive
Yeah.
right to the Old Mill, and you're thinking, "Oh, no," and then you turn right, and big parking lot right there.
Yeah. This is a huge restaurant, but it is also extremely busy. So the wait was about an hour for us to get into it, and they just took my phone number and were like, "We'll text you when you need to be back here in like 5 minutes." So you can go put your name on the list, and then you can go to the general store. We did that. We walked around in there. It's a great little tourist trap. Tons of Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg t-shirts and old mill stuff and magnets and stickers and all the things that you might need to buy.
When they call your name, they tell you that you can hear it anywhere in the little town.
Oh yeah, that's true. They
So
do that.
they
Yeah.
totally it was real cool because we just didn't have to wait for a long time. So
Yeah.
as soon as we did wait for an hour, but I mean it felt like it was just minutes because as soon as we got our number in and went outside. By the time we went through the little town, checked everything out, and started walking back up, do you remember felt like you were going up to a roller coaster because it was these decks that went left, right, and like you're going up
Yeah,
stories.
it did.
And that's how many people they run through this restaurant.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But to put your number in, go for a little tour, goof off, and then come. By the time you come back, they're calling your name, so it's pretty perfect.
Yes, and they make these things called corn fritters, y'all. And it is basically cornbread and then they deep fry it. And they're like little balls of cornbread. So this is Weston's new favorite thing, and he doesn't even like cornbread that much. But he fell in love with these corn fritters. And what did they give us to dip them in? Like a maple butter
Yeah,
or
it was
something?
some kind of a maple something,
Like
but
a sweet
it
maple
was really
butter.
good.
Oh my goodness. That will change your life. So if you have not had that in Pigeon Forge, you need to go eat the corn fritters at the Old Mill restaurant. And then corn chowder.
Yep, corn chowder.
You
Which
loved
is really
it.
good. Yeah, I love it.
And
I say I love it. I don't typically love it that much. I love it when it's good,
this
but
was,
this place was really authentic. I had the fried chicken too.
yep.
It wasn't what Mama made, but it was as close as I've had.
Yeah.
but it was really good. I mean, it's not iron skillet, but it's pretty close. It's good.
He spent a lifetime trying to find someone that can make fried chicken like his mama, but
Yeah, they just
well,
don't do that cut up fresh chicken in a iron skillet anymore. It's just not the same.
and then Weston had the chicken and dumplings, which he raved about. And the chicken and dumplings, I think you get refills. Because didn't they come back and ask him
Yeah,
if he wanted
that's
another bowl of them?
you're not gonna leave here hungry.
No, it was so good. Blackberry pie, pecan pie.
And keep in mind, you're sitting in an old mill while you're doing this, overlooking this beautiful trout stream. It's just a nice evening, especially when you just arrived in Pigeon Forge.
Yeah, it's great. So we highly recommend the Old Mill Restaurant. And if you stay at the Pigeon Forge Gatlinburg KOA, if you walk to the back of the park, you're going to find that stream that Charlie was talking about. There is an elevated sidewalk. There's some stairs down to it, and you can walk down there and walk that sidewalk all the way down to the Old Mill Restaurant. We didn't know this until we got back that night and decided to take Scout for a walk around the park, and we're like, wait a minute, that looks like the creek that runs by the restaurant. Well, we were like, oh, this is how people were getting down
It's
here to fish.
closer to walk than it is to drive,
It
and
is.
it's only a couple of blocks to drive. So it's almost as if this thing is just backed right up to you.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's a lot of Canadian geese down there, so just beware. Watch where you step on the sidewalk. But it's really a great place. We went down and walked kind of in the moonlight. It was a great little spot to go take Scout for a walk.
And if you're picking your camping spots or they have the availability, you can actually get the ones on the water.
Yes, that's true. This KOA had a great big pool. It also had those pedal car things. Those kids were riding them everywhere in the campground.
Yeah, pedal cars, golf carts for rent, seem
Some
like.
type of little electric cart kind of thing too they were riding around,
Yeah.
right? And because of that, the speed limit in the actual KOA park is very low. It's like 5 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour. But you have to recognize it's because there are kids out in these
Lots of kids.
carts running around. They also had lots of other activities up at the top. We didn't go to those because we just weren't at the park for that long. Because we were out running around, seeing the sights, seeing the town, and then spending the next day at
Well, you're
Dollywood.
just real close to Dollywood, so this thing is always gonna be full, right? It's just part of it.
Yeah.
This is a very people want to stay at this place. It's one of those kind of locations. It's a very desirable park.
Yes, it is. Very good. Highly recommend it. I know this sounds like a KOA sponsored podcast. It is not, but I will tell you that we did stay at a lot of KOAs on this trip. And you guys know why. You already know that I love it. I love the app. I love the ease. I love just knowing what to expect when I get there. And you don't always know that with other parks. You have to read a lot of reviews. I was planning 17 stops, 16 stops. So sometimes when you just know what you know, it just makes life
Well,
easier.
there's a lot of other great places to stay. We talk about the harvest hosts and different things like that. But right now, for the way we're doing it, KOA works.
It does.
And more people are joining KOA. Everywhere we go, they're like, yeah, we just joined a KOA or whatever. So, they're hard to beat.
Yeah, they are. Sadly, we did not see any other Brinkley while we were in the Pigeon Forge KOA.
Yeah. And people will stay in these KOAs as the great holiday places. But if you're just looking for a place to park and get some rest, there's a lot of other things. We talked about the Loves.
Yep.
We talked about some of the TA truck stops that are much cheaper and just literally I'm just going to pull over, go to bed, get up and drive again. But that's not what we're looking for on a vacation. We're looking for fun. So,
Yep, that's true. I generally also feel pretty safe when I'm walking around in a KOA at night. Like if I'm taking a scout for a walk, they're usually pretty well lit. I don't know, maybe it's a false sense of security that I have, but I do feel some security in that.
yeah, and we could stay at some state parks. That's
Yep,
another one we haven't talked about. There's ways to, you can kind of boondock it and conserve water. On one of these, we didn't have sewer. We conserved our water. And it was fine.
yep.
We even dumped at the dump station because we didn't have sewer.
Mhm.
And strangely enough, that was where we were going. That's kind of weird, but when we got to Acadia, we stayed at one without sewer. No big deal. They actually had a service that would come by and pump your tanks. There's just a million ways to do it. But it depends on what you want. So if I just want to pull over and sleep for a few hours, I'm going to go to something cheap.
Yep.
There's plenty of ways to do that. So KOA for, a vacation type trip, you want the holiday sites that have more to do. And they're pretty economical. So if you think about it, it seems like to me that the farther you are away from, say, Dollywood,
Uh-huh.
the cheaper you get, the
Yes,
closer you
that's
get to
true.
Dollywood, the higher they're going to be,
Yep.
which makes perfect sense, right? So you'll save some money on some of the cheaper sites on the way, and then when you get close to the destination, you're going to spend a bit more.
Yep.
But it all works out pretty good. And again, Cowie's just so easy for us. For now, I don't see that changing a lot.
Yeah, I don't either. So y'all are gonna have to put up with our "We Love KOA" thing because
One of these days when we're staying somewhere every night, we've looked at some, what is the monthly cost? What is
yep.
that kind of thing? And so I think even some of the KOAs, and don't quote me on this, but have different rates if you're going to stay for a couple of weeks.
Uh-huh.
So the one-nighters, you're not going to save a lot of money. It's just wherever you're at. But anyway,
Yeah, for sure. All right. I think this was our first stormy night in the Brinkley, and it wasn't terrible, but it did rain pretty hard for a while.
it actually came, some pretty dangerous storms came through. And the first night we stayed here, the storms came through. And then I think it was after that second night, I believe we stayed 2 nights. After that second night, we were looking at the weather and some worse stuff was coming,
But we were leaving.
but we were leaving, so
Yeah,
that was good. But
we were leaving.
yeah, I mean, it did really good.
It did.
I will say it reminded me of, a trailer house. You can hear it raining on the roof, which is not a horrible thing. It was
Yeah.
pretty loud, actually,
Yeah, it
in a
was
bad storm.
big raindrop.
It took us a few minutes to get used to it. Then
Yeah.
we realized that, hey, it's fine, and it was good. I will say one thing, if Brinkley's listening, there's no reason not to put covers on those max air vents, they call them. When it starts raining, they close automatically, which is great because
Yeah.
but this is the first night we couldn't run our fans or what, but it didn't really matter. It wasn't a big deal. When you're cooking, you just kind of smell it for a little while till the rain passes, then you
Yeah.
turn them back on. But I love my Brinkley. I love these guys. But if I had some feedback forms, look, that's an expensive rig. You can put a couple of plastic covers on the fans. So
Yes.
maybe
Come on,
they'll do
Brinkley. Put
that.
those
Maybe
max
they'll do that.
put those max air fan covers on there. All right. Well, I think we're done. We've made it all the way to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee from Oklahoma, and we're 3 nights into our trip. And tomorrow we're going to get up and go to Dollywood.
Yep.
And we're excited
We're excited.
because, guys, we might be the biggest Silver Dollar City fans, maybe not on earth, but probably in Oklahoma.
There's probably some people that work in the park that have retired and working in the park that are bigger fans, but
Probably.
yeah, we've spent a lot of time in Silver Dollar City. It's close. The kids love it. We love that time period, that time frame, that old, historical time frame. So,
Yes.
yeah, this
So,
place is a lot like it. We know.
yeah.
So,
So what we're dying to do while we're settling in to go to sleep tonight in Pigeon Forge is compare Dollywood to Silver Dollar City.
absolutely.
So that's where we're at, and we're gonna sign off here. And be sure and join us next time. It's gonna be episode 20, Charlie. 20 of these.
20?
Yes. How crazy is that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And we will be taking you to Dollywood and telling you everything we loved and everything we saw and comparing it to Silver Dollar City, which we know we love.
Absolutely.
You got anything else?
That's it. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. Well, don't forget, check out our YouTube channel. Go follow us on social media. We're trying to get those Instagram follows up. So if y'all have an Instagram, go out there and like my Instagram. We're at 600, a little over 600 now. And we're really excited about that. So go check out all this media that we're doing so that we're not just doing it for nothing.
Oh, and we should say that we bought some new equipment. So the video quality and the amount of videos we're going to have in the future is going to go way, way up. So
Yes.
look forward to that.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. We have got a GoPro and we are not afraid to use it. Well, maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
We're going to figure it out, y'all. Okay, well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for hanging out with us today on episode 19 as we traveled from Oklahoma to Tennessee. And until next time, we hope you get to go explore something fun this week.
See y'all next week.
Bye.